Hey, it's Mike Brennan, and we're back with another edition of MITech TV. Lots going on, lots of diverse topics today. Well, we're going to start off with one of our regular contributors, Kathleen Norton-Schock, who's going to be discussing all things Michigan Council of Women in Technology. Right, Kathleen?
I will, Mike, and thanks so much again. We come on about every 4 or 5 weeks. Probably the next time I'll talk to you will be December if you have room. But we've had a very, very busy 2022, and we just got through a strategy session, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And I still haven't seen all the full results of that. I mean, we worked with Staria Coppins, who you've met, Mike.
Yep.
Who is our full-time marketing manager now. Becky and I worked with her on her slides, but we didn't have to do much. I mean, she's really mastered this. And she presented to everyone on our board, our advisory board, some of our program directors. You know, Becky is one of those, but she couldn't be there. And so Staria and I still need to catch up to see if there were any changes to what we proposed. But honestly, marketing, as usual, is a support of the bigger strat plan. And this year's coming president for us is this year's vice president and a good friend of mine, Jill Majorano, who is head of healthcare IT practice for Microsoft. But prior to that, she spent many years at Cisco. And she and I are both I like to call it generation 1.5, right? We were just 2 years after the organization became incorporated under, well, to the extent that a nonprofit ever incorporates, but created under the name MCWT. So she is also, like me, going on her 20th year of volunteerism, and she is a dynamo and incredibly visionary, and just led this collaborative team along with this year's Rajani Sinha, this year's president, together to come together on one page. And I'm excited to see whatever it is we've come up with, so that if we do need to make any changes to the marketing plan, we will. But MCWT is going into its 20th year. It's in its 20th year, pardon me. I am going next year into my 20th year of volunteerism. I was, like I said, Jill and I are both generation 1.5. So we came like a year or so after the first leaders had started it. But it occurred to me that while we keep talking, and, you know, I used to run for 10 years, ran a startup that was dedicated to the nonprofit world and worked with nonprofits of all sizes. And it wasn't until today, as I was getting ready for this, it occurred to me, I'm not sure how much of the data you guys know over that 20-year period of time we have accrued and have today. We've had over 200 generous partners, meaning corporations who contribute to our mission, which is to make Michigan the #1 state for girls and women in technology. But today we have 122 very active partners, and they are large, small, and medium-sized corporations, all of whom have a stake in making technology very vital here in Michigan. So that's always exciting. You know, we have the big three in automotive, we have Dunyati, we have Microsoft, we have Google, we have, you know, the big names and the smaller names. And the startups, we even have some startups who are partners. So that's always very exciting. And the other thing is, way back, remember when we were only 100 or 200 members at any given time, we are now in active membership. This doesn't include all past members, which would be thousands and thousands, but in active membership, we have 1,245 members today.
Wow.
And we're powered by an excellent professional staff. Yeah, that's a big number for a nonprofit to have, an association to have as its membership, and say these are all active members, not dormant, not, you know, who occasionally show up for things. And of that number, we always, when we do our count of volunteers, because even though we have an excellent professional skilled staff headed by Chris Rzuski, another good friend of mine, who came out of CompuWare and Thomas Bravo and one other company, I forget the name of it, but it was after CompuWare had split. She's been our executive director now for almost 3 years, maybe it's going on 4. Anyway, under her leadership, she has an excellent staff of people, and hopefully that will continue to grow as we do. But we have easily 400 to 500 volunteers who help us put together so many events every year and then handle all these strategic initiatives and all the background stuff. So this year alone, we did easily 25 events that have nothing to do with our active programs. And I spent a lot of time in our last session talking about a lot of those active programs we do from K through 12, middle school girls, high school girls, and then we have leadership programs for our grown-up adult members. But we had a very, very active year this year. You know, we had a couple of membership welcome sessions. We had easily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, close to 15 lunch and learns and connect nets. We did, of course, our 2 golf classics, which are part of our fundraisers. We did a bunch of some of our connect nets were really exciting. We did one last week with Google, which was amazing. It was all about business transformation and Google's view of that. And our Lunch and Learn series tends to be wonderful and have a lot of topics like leadership insights and merger and acquisition activity and how women can tie into having allies and personal finance. We had 2 separate ones on personal finance. And we do various breakfasts. We do something called every year we do our Executive Connection Summit. And we're now doing 2 of those a year pretty soon. We do a West Michigan Executive Breakfast, and then we do an Executive Connection Summit. And I believe you were at that one this year, Mike. It was easily 600 to 700 movers and shakers. So we do tons of events, but we do all this, obviously, particularly the fundraisers like the golf event. And then coming up this coming Saturday, already sold out, to a whole bunch of vendors who are our sponsors and over 700 individual people coming. We're doing our gala, and we'll talk about that in a minute. All that fundraising contributes to these wonderful programs. And I did talk about quite a few, but I'm going to talk about those that are still open, right? So for instance, as you know, we've done 1.7 million plus in scholarships over the last 16 years to support girls and women who want to go to Michigan colleges and post-universities, but it would still be universities, right, in MBA programs, pursuing technology curriculum. And our scholarship program application is open now for the 2023-2024 year. And that will close by the end of this year. Usually it closes by December 31st. It could drag into January, but probably not. And so I strongly suggest that if you know a girl who's a high school senior today, or even already matriculated into a university but has chosen a new path and is going to pursue a 4-year technology degree of some kind, or is going for a master's or some kind of advanced degree, that they immediately go to www.mcwt.org, go under our programs. Well, actually, this because it's open right now and we want to drive more scholarship applications, it's flowing across the top banner at mcwt.org. But you can also find it if you go to our college and university programs, and you can fill out your application. And the requirements are pretty simple. The woman has to be a current Michigan resident and a United States citizen. They have to be attending or planning to attend a Michigan-based college or university, and they have to pursue some form of technology-focused degree. And if they are currently at a university, they have to prove to us they have a 3.0 GPA and above. Same thing on the high school level, right? We would prefer to have those young women who have been serious about their studies. And again, we've done 1.7 million. We'll be at 1.8 million, probably within the next year and a half. So I strongly suggest, I mean, that's not per year, obviously, that's the total amount that we've been able to give. But I strongly recommend that if anybody knows a college girl or is a college girl or woman or wants to do a master's program of some kind, that you go to our site. Secondly, we talked a lot in the last session about cybersecurity, and we do have some programs right now focusing on cybersecurity. For instance, girls in 12th to 8th grade, 9th to 12th grade are invited to participate in our virtual Get It, which stands for Girls Exploring Together IT, cyber challenge. And students who enroll in that program will be using immersive labs, interactive hands-on content, and cyber skill experiences to empower each other and talk through the newest and greatest challenges in cybersecurity. If you become part of the contest, you're eligible for some interesting cash and non-cash prizes, but probably the biggest prize is we're helping to build those girls in 9th through 12th grade in skills that have to do with hacking and protecting the rest of us against hackers. So that's a tremendous program. I talked last time about Girls Rock IT, and we already made it through the first session for October, which was Think Like a Programmer, where with the Girl Scouts, we sponsored a badge about programming, and brownies, juniors, and cadets were eligible. We're doing another one of those sessions on Saturday, November 12th, only this time, again, it'll be focused on cybersecurity. So girls who will come to that session and learn and go through instruction and go through some testing, and their parents are welcome to do it as well, are welcome to join. Now that one is going to be held in the western side of the state at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo. As I said, it's Saturday, November 12th. So anybody who wants to enroll in that, since today is October 31st, ought to go to our site and go to the K through 12 button, hit there, and it'll bring you down to that program. Also under that program, we've extended our registration dates for a program we do in conjunction with Ford called Girls Hack IT. And that's a new program for middle school girls who enjoy being creative, if you will. And participants will learn how to code, develop, and deploy their very own Android mobile apps using MIT Application Inventor. The competition, it's a competition. You know, girls love competitions, don't we all? So it's an excellent way for students to kind of get their creative expressions together with their tech skills. And that's open to girls in grades 5 through 8. And it will continue throughout the remainder of this year, but you can register now if you have a girl in grades 5 through 8. And then the fifth thing is that we had a Get It Connection Summit, sort of similar to our Executive Connection Summit. We did one for younger girls, and we had over 200 girls from 15 different high schools who gathered at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. That happened last week. Ford Credit was one of our teachers. Borg Warner was one of our major sponsors, along with Dow, Stryker, Trinity Health. So that was pretty exciting. And since we did it again successfully this year, we'd only done it once before, undoubtedly that'll be an ongoing program as well. And then finally, I don't know if you guys know this, but last week was National Mentoring Day. You know how every day now was a celebration of something, hopefully something positive. So last week it was National Mentoring Day. It was either Thursday or Friday, which of course inspired me because I handle pieces of our social presence to put out a link for a program that has closed for this year because it was so popular. But our Ignite Mentoring program is a 6-month program for women of all ages, where if you are coming as a mentee, we pair you with a mentor who can help you with your professional development. It goes on for 6 months, and the success stories from that are amazing. So I'm going to suggest that if anybody in your audience is interested in a mentoring program, specifically for technology women, that they make a little note on their physical or mental calendars to check again at the beginning of next year, because we will relaunch the program for the second half of next year, probably sometime in the late winter, early spring. Right now it's maxed out. And as I noted, this coming weekend, November 5th, the MCWT Signature Gala with a theme of Imagine Better is taking place at MGM Grand. It's a fun, very, very dressy, impactful evening. We're totally sold out. Area chief executive officers, chief information officers, all sorts of leaders and executives will be there. And so will most of our members, or many of our members, and tables of people who, you know, every one of our sponsors tends to buy a table, and so therefore they bring guests.
So how many people are you actually expecting then? It sounds like thousands. 700.
No, about 700. About 700 to 800.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we've maxed out the room. I mean, seriously, we have a whole area that's devoted to, we do an online, we've completed it already, online donations and an online auction, but we do an auction right in the room itself, kind of a light one that raises more money. And then people who want to do their own separate grants or any kinds of programs like that, oftentimes raise their paddles and are part of a team that then do something special. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget that only 28% nationally of professional IT roles are held by women. And I kind of feel like this is something that I've been dealing with. As you know, as president, I was vice president, but startup, I was part of 2 startup co-founders, and we had a really hard time. And we have a lot of connections between Rosemary Bayer and I, finding any women to come in and program for our very, very worthwhile 10-year-old startup until we pass it on to other colleagues. So I had personal experience with that. I had personal experience with this when I was president of Telecorp. Finding women to fill our technology spaces was so hard. I had personal experience with this at Unisys, at CA, when I did my contract work at SolidWorks, when I did my contract work at Infor. Every single one of these companies struggle. And some of those are major IT names. Microsoft will tell you they struggle to find women. We could go on and on in those discussions. But so we really are trying to make great strides in bridging that gap, at least here in Michigan, where we all have a stake in making sure that our state becomes, as I said, the #1 state for women and girls.
All right, we're gonna have to cut you off there, Kathleen. So,
sure.
Where do folks go to find out more information? What's the website address?
www.mcwt.org.